Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs, and welcome to this video from the latest Minecraft snapshot, snapshot 23W07A. Now, I would have loved to cover the snapshots before this one because a bunch of new stuff came out in the last couple of weeks, but the fact is, I've been on holiday. I was away in the United States visiting my partner's family, and that was the time that Mojang decided it was a good idea to release basically everything else they planned to snapshot for Minecraft 1.20. The update is still unnamed right now, but it seems likely that it's going to be called something to do with discovery or heritage or expressing yourself. Those seem to be the themes that they've talked about in relation to this update recently. Now, I only just got off the plane yesterday. I'm still pretty jet lagged. This is the first video that I've recorded back. It's my first time playing Minecraft in about 2.5 weeks, but I thought I should make a video about basically everything I've missed while I've been away and everything that Mojang has announced for this update. So as per usual, in survival, we're going to go out and try and find some of the stuff that's coming to Minecraft 1.20. Actually, the first thing that I'm going to show you is something that I recorded before I even loaded up the world. It's the Create New World screen, which has undergone a couple of changes just to make things a little bit more easy to understand for people who are brand new to Minecraft. It mostly just looks like the experimental features in the snapshots are a little bit easier to get hold of from these menus instead of having to go into the datapack section. And I believe if it's your first time installing Minecraft, there's a bit of extra stuff that pops up here as well, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. It helps the interface look a little bit more clean. There's a bit of room for expansion here, but for the most part, you'll find the majority of this looks familiar. Now, back here in the world, the first thing I really want to do is go looking for some generated structures, because those are where we're going to find the armor smithing templates. These are the ones that add trim to your armor, but of course we've got to have some armor for it to trim before that, and we should probably go about doing a little bit of the early game grind. I'm also going to keep an eye on where some surface lava lakes are, just in case I need to make a quick portal to the nether, because netherite is slightly different as well. You end up upgrading it using a template that you can only find in piglin bastions. But there are a couple of portals around, it looks like. Yeah, this is a pretty solid bet for, an entirely free nether portal. Look at that. Okay, well, we'll take the coordinates of this, and we got a little bit of gold in there as well, so we can make a piece of armor. I'm thinking probably a golden helmet to keep us safe from the piglins. Let's hop into the nether and see what's up in here. Ew, yeah, that's big yikes. Basalt Delta into a soul sand valley by the looks of things. There is one piglin down there, but I really don't fancy my chances going to get him. Never mind, at least we have a portal to the nether. Also got a free gold sword with sharpness 1, so I might as well keep that around, and we got a gold ingot just in case we pop into the nether somewhere else, but I'll take the coordinates of that. We'll come back to that later. We'll grab some sweet berries just so we got a bit of food, and I want to see if this patch of sand over here is, it's not really looking deserty, is it? It's more of a beach, but we might still find shipwrecks around here, and those could be a really important source of one of our armor templates. Ironically, the first underwater structure I found is another ruined nether portal, but I might come on down here just in case there's some free gold. Bit of iron, might make a shield with that, might get some boots as well, curse of binding. Actually, not gonna have those boots. Perfect, here's a nice obvious shipwreck. Let's go check this out. And even if this doesn't have the armor trim item, we should at least be able to get, a bit of early iron, a couple of emeralds, that kind of thing. Perfect. Let's pop on down here, open this up. We got some paper, we got some moss in there too. And this chest at the back has a buried treasure map. So let's see if we can get anything bonus from that. Should be underneath here. Yes, there we go. And, we got a couple of diamonds in there. Perfect. And some more iron. So finally we are on the board with iron. Looks like we actually have a village over there in the distance, and I don't want all the villagers to die off, so I'm going to dive down here. I'm going to very quickly make myself a bed and do a trick I like to call the seabed. Can probably get rid of this treasure map as well before we break our camp and head towards the village. Now, I'm not too hopeful we'll get anything too spectacular in this village, although they do have pretty good mining access, but I wonder if there is a smith's house in here, a toolsmith to be precise. A few emeralds around, a few things I can steal, but unfortunately it doesn't look like we have a toolsmith here. They're usually in the L-shaped houses. So I'm just going to steal a couple of carrots and head over to where there are some horses up here. Because one of the minor but also pretty significant changes that's happened in this snapshot in particular is that now if you breed two tamed horses together, their stats are no longer going to trend towards the average. It's actually going to, on average, give you slightly faster horses than the ones you have already. Was this the one I tamed? Was it you? Yeah, I think it's you and this one over here. And we should, in theory, get a horse whose stats are a combination of these two, but trending towards the positive. So I can't tell how fast either of these are, but this one here has 12 hearts and the other one has 10. So you might expect this horse to come out with 11 or 12 hearts, but never towards the lower end of the scale. Basically, it is going to be possible to breed horses for a positive trend in stats for once, which is good news for anybody who likes to breed horses until they have a really fast horse. But that's about all I can demonstrate here, so for now, I'm going to grab myself an iron pickaxe and probably do some mining. I'm also going to head for higher ground where I can, because one of the major changes that's come along in this snapshot is a cherry grove biome, which now appears in mountains in similar places to where you find meadows generating. Well, I've got a bit of iron now, which will allow me to make a bucket, and I'll feel slightly safer about going down into that massive cave by the village. The villagers themselves might not fare too well here on the surface while I'm down there, but who cares? It's spelunking time. And the first thing I see, of course, is some more iron. Beautiful. We'll be able to get a full iron set with what I can find here. And of course, a cave of this size has led me straight down into deep slate level, which is great, but I kind of forgot to craft a shield earlier. Okay, there we go. Feeling a little bit better prepared. This golden sword is not the best weapon though, so I might ditch that in future. But before I do, you might notice the enchantment glow is looking a little different to how it usually does. It's a lot less active, and that's actually now controlled through an accessibility settings slider. You'll notice glint speed now appears here below the darkness, pulsing, and distortion effects that we associate with the Warden and Skulk Shriekers. If I turn the glint speed all the way up, it's a little bit closer to the enchantment glow that we've seen previously. It'll show up a lot more on your hotbar and on the weapons themselves, but it's still fairly subtle. And part of the reason for that is, of course, because they've just introduced new armor trims, and they want people to see the visual differences in their armor a little more clearly. One of the reasons I'm super happy about that change is it means no more super glowy netherite armor. I always thought the netherite armor looked really cool, but you can't see the full effect of the texture of netherite armor when it's all glowy and purple from being enchanted, and nobody runs unenchanted netherite armor, so it seemed a bit of a waste. Speaking of waste, it's probably time to ditch some of these old tools. I've made the diamonds into a diamond sword on the assumption that we're going to find more diamonds while we're down here. While the rest of the iron is smelting, we can craft a smithing table, so I can show you the new smithing table interface. Right here, you will notice a slot that prompts you to put a smithing template there, and that combined with some other material and whatever it is you're smithing, usually the armor piece, is going to display on here. And then once you remove it from the slot, it is permanently changed. Unfortunately, the only chance we have of finding a smithing template down here is if we run into either an ancient city or a stronghold, so we'll probably be returning to the surface once I found a few more diamonds and bits and pieces like that. But at least we now have enough iron to make a full chest plate, and that is our full armor set done, still with the gold helmet in case we go to the nether. The other reason to stay down here in the caves is that precious materials like gold, lapis, redstone, and amethyst are the things that we're going to be trimming the armor with, so we should be on the lookout for geodes while we're down here, along with diamonds and the usual sort of stuff. We'll grab some redstone here for that purpose as well. This looks like a promising route to diamonds, even if I do have to do a little branch mining for them. There we go, some redstone as well. Hey, nice. Okay, now we're talking. Yes. All right, that's a vein of 7 on top of the ones I already had. That gives us 10. Okay, that should be everything we need. Well, at least a couple of the villagers survived as well. Now let's go looking for those armor trim templates, and I think the best place to go would ideally be a desert. And part of the reason I left cheats enabled on this world is so I can look up the location of a desert if it takes too long to find one naturally. But I am going to try finding one naturally, while in the meantime looking for landmarks like shipwrecks, and we have a couple of those and another ruined portal over there. Bunch of extra iron, don't mind if I do. This one has a couple of extra diamonds in, which I will definitely take with me. I don't need the extra lapis, but we'll grab that anyway. But I guess we can also grab the gold blocks from here now. Those are going to be nice to have. Another quick dig down at the 9-9 coordinate, and we got a bunch more iron and gold. Okay, looks like we're getting into meadow biome territory over here. I'm wondering if there's a cherry grove somewhere around. No, it looks like we're just getting a meadow biome this time around. I don't see any adjoining cherry groves, although there is something we could do while I'm here. Yes, I enabled the datapack for bundles as well when I created this world, and look how much space I'm saving! Like, I understand why they're still in the experimental tag and why they can't implement them on mobile devices quite the same way as on Java, but man, I wish those were vanilla. Anyway, now we're done with that massacre, we return to our hunt for armor trims, already in progress. And right here we have two of them. The Coast Armour Trim turned up in this shipwreck loot chest. Fantastic. I would assume they're only found in that chest towards the back there with the iron and emeralds and whatnot in it. Yeah, I'm not seeing any in here, although there are some kind of useful bits and pieces. And this one inside the cabin is still just going to have a buried treasure map. And as far as I know, buried treasure loot chests do not contain the armor trims. But we have two of them now, so we can actually start smithing our armor. And is this just a really large beach, or is that actually a desert? I think this might just be a beach biome, but it does lead into some savanna biome over there. So I'm hoping that there'll be a warm biome cluster here, and we'll get a desert biome nice and close by. Anyway, for now I can unpack the smithing table from the bundle, and we can actually get to doing what these things do. It's probably best to demonstrate this on the chest plate since it's the largest piece of armor. We put our armor trim in there. We put the piece of armor in the middle slot, and in the last slot we put an ingot or a crystal, which is kind of a neat way of categorizing the resources that you can use for this. It cycles through the different icons, as you can see. So amethyst works for this, iron ingots would work, even though that's just trimming it in a slightly different shade of iron. Diamond would work for this, giving it a diamond streak, but not upgrading any of the armor's quality. So as you can see, it still only does +6 armor, even though we've added a more durable material to it. The durability itself is unaffected as well. You could also have lapis as a trim, which I really like. I might go with that actually, because it means not sacrificing a diamond, and you'll notice that the smithing template there was consumed, meaning these are consumable items. And that's why I wanted to get so many diamonds from when we went mining in the first place. Because in order to duplicate this smithing template, we need 7 diamonds, the original smithing template, and one other item that relates to what this armor trim is. So let me put trim in here to give you an example. Right, you need cobblestone for this one. But this material actually changes depending on what the armor trim is, and the way of finding that out is through the recipe book here or on the Minecraft wiki or someplace like that. I believe, for example, the one you get from nether fortresses requires you to have a netherrack block there. But check this out. This is a really cool customized piece of armor now, and it took a little bit of searching in order to find that, but there are different chances of each of them appearing in the different loot chests. So having grabbed a piece of cobblestone, I can demonstrate that really quick. We can actually now make a duplicate of the smithing template for the Coast Armor Trim, but it's going to cost us 7 diamonds to do that. These are obviously quite sought after items, and this gives a use for diamonds at endgame when you've already got a mending set of netherite tools and you don't really need to go any further with your tool progression, so the diamonds just end up racking up. You just store them as diamond blocks and make a beacon out of them, or turn them all into jukeboxes, or just hoard them for the sake of hoarding them at that point. And so naturally, if I wanted to, I could trim the rest of my armor in this kind of style as well. We could vary the colors, or we could do a variety of other bits and pieces. I actually really like diamond on gold as a combination, although it might look quite garish for a full suit of armor. But I still want to find a desert biome in the hopes that we can... Wow, that's a really, really circular like aperture in the hill there. That took me by surprise for a second. Now what we need to do is find a desert biome so that we can track down a desert temple, because those have a different armor trim in. There are probably about 10 different types of armor trims, I think. 11. I've just counted them. There are 11 different types, which obviously means lots of different combinations once you've been able to find them. The real outlier on that list is ocean monuments, because those don't generate with any chests in. Instead, you have a pretty high chance of gaining the tide armor trim from killing an Elder Guardian. So where other structures might have them as chest loot, they are now mob drops from Elder Guardians along with sponges. Oh, here's another fun opportunity. Pillager outpost. Let's check this. Unfortunately, still no desert biome yet. Something tells me the pillagers guarding it aren't going to be all that impressed by my new armor trim. Since it's not doing anything for my defense, I better make this a smash and grab style raid. And we get a goat horn, but unfortunately we do not get an armor trim from this pillager outpost. But that's one more reason to brave visiting these things if you have one in the area. Oh, I think we found one. Not a desert biome, but something completely different. And something I genuinely always hoped for, but never thought we would see in Minecraft. Right over there we have a cherry grove. Once again, these occur in higher regions of mountains, in sort of the same places that you would find meadows. They don't just have pink leaves, they have their own wood type to go along with it. So we have cherry wood in the game now. Let's knock down a couple of these, and I absolutely love the tree styles. They're kind of like the acacia trees with the diagonal approach to the trunk growing, but they've got these beautiful canopies of petals instead of leaves, really. Let me see if I can grab some with shears so we can see what these are actually called. Okay, they're called cherry leaves, so that does kind of make sense. I mean, it matches up with the rest of what you see in Minecraft. Now, there are also cherry blossom petals falling all around us in these particles, but on the ground you'll find this natural carpet of them, and I believe this is treated like carpet. Right now you can break it with just your fist, you can just punch it and pick it up, and I got 4 items when I did that. So I think these are, yeah, they're kind of like sea pickles or candles or something like that, where to cover the entire block you have 4 items. That's really quite clever. It doesn't go any higher than 4 though, so if there's a fully decorated patch here, I can't place any more within that, but you can bone meal them to get more, and you can decorate in a small way or a big way by placing these around. The fact that there are lots of little variations in them, but it all just looks like a natural mass, like it doesn't tile super obviously. Really cool implementation. I absolutely love that. And look at how large this biome is. This is probably just the boundaries of what a meadow biome would normally be, but it's huge. So you can really get nestled into the center of one of these and make it your base. You find donkeys, sheep, and rabbits here, the same as you do with natural meadows, although that may change depending on feedback from this snapshot. There are also quite a few beehives around here. Natural bee nests occur quite frequently, and I think that's as a result of meadows as well. You see, every tree in a meadow biome pretty much is guaranteed to have, every oak tree is guaranteed to have a bee nest in it on world generation, and that's obviously carried over to these a little bit. Not sure if that will change, but the bees obviously love the amount of flowers that are around here, and I wonder if the bees pollinate based on the flower carpet or just the leaves. That'd be really exciting to see. Let's chop down a little bit of this. It's got its own wood sound by the sound of it as well. It actually sounds a little bit different, and let's tuck a few more of these away in our bundles so we can take a look at cherry logs. Of course, they have their own end texture, new wood color to go along with them, and if we break those down into planks, oh my goodness, look at this. Those are cotton candy pink, and they are absolutely beautiful. I think we can do a lot with those with our existing wood palette. Naturally, we end up with a stripped log that's kind of like a muted version of this without all of the highlights to it. It looks really quite stylish, I think. Goes super well with the log end texture too, so that's very exciting to see. And I can imagine merging that with birch or crimson wood because it's lighter but has that red undertone to it. Yeah, really solid addition to the game. I think it's really cool, especially that we're seeing other wood types come to the fore now. For so long, we only had 6 wood types in Minecraft. Before that, there were only 4. Oh, that's the sapling. Look at that. What a beautiful, almost like bonsai style. Yeah, those are beautiful. I'm going to put those in flower pots all over the place, let me tell you. But yeah, considering that up until the Nether update, we only ever had 6 types of wood, and now it feels like we get one every update or so. Oh, beautiful. I cannot wait to spend more time in these biomes. Coming down from the mountain, though, it looks like some pillagers have taken up residence down here, so that's another chance for us to get the Sentry Armour Trim template. I really wish I could zip line to the tower from here. Let's try and get up there with a water bucket this time. Water buckets have always been the closest thing Minecraft has to grappling hooks. There we go, we got 2 of them. Look at that. Sentry Armour Trim template and a Fire Protection 4 book as well. That's not to be sniffed at. Hello. All right, let's make our escape, and yeah, the water bucket clutch really saved me at that point. All right, let's get outside of the firing range and let's apply the Sentry Armour Trim template to a couple of our items. Maybe we'll put that on the leggings, and what have we got for materials in here now? In fact, I'm going to put a chest down because this bundle is getting full of all the rare items, and there's definitely some stuff here that I don't want to throw away, but also probably won't end up keeping. And these are really our options. We have gold, lapis, diamond, redstone, copper. We could try copper with the Sentry Armour Trim. Let's give that a go. Obviously, we'll need to smelt a bit of it first. And somewhere in the chaos of all of that, I seem to have thrown my bed away. So let's shear a couple more sheep and see if I can get myself a bed together. Okay, much better. The perimeter is now clear, and we can apply our Sentry Armour Trim to the leggings. Let's see what that looks like in copper. Oh, kind of got a work greaves vibe to it. There we go. And that's looking like it matches pretty well with the coast one. Fairly plain, but I imagine a lot of the best detail is going to come from the chest plate on these things. The copper color looks darker towards the back, but more of a kind of peachy color towards the front. I quite like that, actually. And I think at this point, having traveled about 5,000 blocks or more away from my spawn location, and having done all of this in survival so far, I am just going to use the locate biome command to look for the desert biome. We're not going to teleport there right away, but I think maybe Has Desert Temple is probably going to be the best way of searching for this. There we go. Has Desert Pyramid. 2,300 blocks away. We're headed sort of in the right direction, though. If we continue west for about another 3,000 blocks, we should find a desert pyramid, or at least a biome that has one. And from there, we should be able to look at some of the other major features that are coming to 1.20, the Sniffer and Archaeology. At last, there's our desert biome. Oh gosh, this was one heck of a journey. It's coming up on 7,000 blocks west I've had to travel, and a little bit extra south too. So we are going to try and find our desert temple out here, but we will need to do a little bit of extra stuff. We need to get hold of some string. If there's a mine shaft anywhere near these badlands, we could potentially get some cobwebs from there. Otherwise, we can search for a desert temple, and we'll hope to find some string in the loot chests there. And yes, after a while, I did end up crafting myself a cherry boat, since I had the wood on me in my inventory. Look at that. That's a way to arrive in style. Nothing too different about the desert well as far as I can see. All seems... Whoa, hello, wait a second. That down there is the new sand block. I can't believe I just broke a piece of it. Oh no, we'll have to come back. But anyway, that is suspicious sand. It looks slightly different, and I was hoping to acquire some with a shovel, but apparently you can't obtain it using a shovel. But that's kind of exciting if they've done something different with desert wells. I'm looking forward to seeing how that pans out. In the meantime, this desert biome looks pretty expansive, and I'm really hoping that the desert temple hasn't generated like really far underground or something, because there's somebody from the community for my podcast, the Spawn Chunks, pointed out a desert temple that they found whilst they were digging out a perimeter, and it was at something like Y-50, so occasional glitches can happen. Most of them show up on the surface, though. I wonder if it's going to be anywhere near this desert village. Even if it's not, we should go and say hi to the camel. Hello. Still only one camel per desert village, as far as I can tell, though, which is a concern for me, because I really think there should be more than that. Unless you're going to have the camels spawn there after world generation, which doesn't seem to happen yet. Time for another quick nether portal check. No immediate signs of a fortress or a bastion. There's our desert temple. Oh, finally. I was starting to think we'd never find this thing. Honestly though, desert this large, I bet you there's more than one. There's more than one village, so there's probably more than one temple. And as I've been running around, I've had a bit of time to think, and I really reckon that these are going to be more end-game activities. Obviously, you can run into the occasional desert temple or woodland mansion or whatever it happens to be while you're doing your initial exploration of the world, but when it comes to collecting the whole set, that's really something you're going to do once you've acquired an elytra, once you've been to the end and you can travel by air without all of the inconvenience. Now here we are in our central desert temple room. We're going to pillar on down like so, and thankfully there aren't any mobs waiting for us in the burial chamber. Let's get rid of the TNT under here and we can look at the chests. Okay, we have an infinity book along with some bones. We've got a lot more bones in here and a bit more gold. We've got a lot more bones in there and not very much. We do have some string, and we do have a couple of golden apples, but not, alas, any of the armor templates that come with a desert temple. Hey, not to worry, there are going to be more desert temples out there. Hopefully we'll find some. But we do have the string, which brings us to our next subject. First, you should potentially know that desert temples have changed slightly in their structure. You'll notice there are some sand blocks on the floor here where the floor is normally made out of solid sandstone, and this is actually something you can now dig away in order to reveal a staircase. The staircase leads down to a separate secret room, and we start to uncover blocks of suspicious sand. Now, as I mentioned, this looks slightly different to the sand texture, almost in the same way that snow and powder snow look different, but you'll notice this has sort of fragments of material or slightly more coarse grains of sand in there, and this is where we need to start using the new tool of a brush. To craft a brush, we will need some sticks, so unfortunately I have to break down those cherry planks, but you need 2 sticks and 3 string across the top, and that gets you a brush. It doesn't seem like there are different tiers of brush in terms of material, at least not right now, and if we hold down right click on this, we brush away the layers of suspicious sand until an item pops out, and that is gunpowder, I guess. As we excavate this room, we will hopefully find a few more blocks of suspicious sand that we can do that with so that we can see the results. I'm already seeing a couple in the walls around here, and it seems like the block just reverts to sand after you've finished brushing it. Is a diamond popping out of that one? It looks like it might be. There we go. I just held down right click and the item pops out. This looks like it's potentially some more gunpowder. And this is a really different way of delivering loot that you might otherwise find in a desert temple chest, so that's pretty cool. I will definitely keep my eyes peeled for any more blocks of suspicious sand as we continue to cross the desert, but it looks like right here, we're actually going to get one of the more unique items you get from this particular experience. We end up with, there we go, a prize pottery shard, and that seems to be the one that has the almost hieroglyph of a diamond on the side of it. That's quite cool. So if we have enough of these shards, we can actually put them together in a crafting table and turn them into a full-size pot. It is still possible to use the brush on other blocks, but it has virtually no effect. It doesn't seem to break the blocks down. You can still left-click with it to break blocks the way you can with your fists, but right-clicking and holding down right-click is really what gets the effect of brushing away layers of suspicious sand. Now this chamber has been fully excavated, we can probably turn the rest of this sand into sandstone in order to restore it. I am kind of curious to see if there are any additional secrets hidden under this extra floor design, because typically if you were in the regular desert temple, that's where you would dig down to find the burial chamber. But it looks like this area underneath, even though it's composed of sandstone, kind of like the rest of the desert temple structure is, it just seems to be part of the foundation. I'll continue digging down until we hit some other type of material, but oh, hello. Does that just lead out? Yeah, it just leads out into a cave, so that might just be another way of finding your way in, or the way cave generation has led to the sandstone eroding down here, but it doesn't seem to be anything deliberate on the part of the desert temple structure. So no loot underneath there yet, but still an exciting area to dig out, and we got a diamond out of it. I was kind of hoping that that might lead to us finding another chest with the armor trim inside of it, but alas, no. Never mind, let's take a look around to quickly see if we can spot any more suspicious sand blocks. Well, having dug around the outside a little bit, I can't say I've found any, so it may be that that area in the desert temple is, for now, the only place that we can find suspicious sand in the desert temple structure. But that's not to worry, because we do, of course, have that desert well to go back to. I'm just checking all the corners here in case there's anything else hidden behind some of these pillars, perhaps, but no, it seems unlikely that it's happening anywhere other than that particular new area for now. And now that's got me wondering, does every desert temple have something like that in it now, or is that occasional desert temples, in the same way that sometimes you get a research station underneath one of those igloos, or sometimes it's just a regular igloo without the trapdoor and the ladder down. It doesn't look like there are any of those suspicious sand blocks around villages either, which makes sense. These aren't ruins, these are actually inhabited structures, so it seems unlikely that they'd just be leaving their pot shards in the sand outside, but it was worth a try, I guess. But for once, I was actually kind of disappointed to get a diamond out of the suspicious sand there, because suspicious sand is now the way that we can get hold of sniffer eggs in survival Minecraft. Originally, I believe the plan was to include sniffer eggs in the loot tables for ocean ruins, but it seems like Mojang has had a bit of a change of heart with the inclusion of archaeology in Minecraft 1.20, and they've decided to include it as part of the loot from suspicious sand instead. That part is fine by me, of course. It ties into the archaeology theme, the fact that the sniffer is supposed to be an ancient mob that the player resurrects. But if desert temples are few and far between, as they seem to be in this world, and it only has that one area of suspicious sand where there's maybe 5 or 6 blocks that you can dig out, I'm wondering whether we're supposed to find the sniffer egg there, or if they have something else planned for future snapshots. Or maybe we're supposed to come back to the desert well and find them, because like I said, this does seem to be suspicious sand down here. Although it's underwater right now, and my brush doesn't seem to be affecting it, or maybe the animation just isn't playing through. Maybe if we clear the water out of here and carefully remove this top layer of sand, we can do something about that. Oh, okay, it looks like there was only one other suspicious sand block in here. I couldn't really tell through the water texture, and yep, that looks like it's giving us another shard of a pot. This time an arms up pottery shard, okay? Good to know. If we dig further down, is there going to be any more? No, it looks like I'm just collecting sand from here, so I think at this point this is where the regular desert terrain generation has taken over. So I did break one of the blocks of suspicious sand inside of here. It doesn't seem like there's any more around the outside of the desert well structure. So is that really it? Do we only ever find 5 or 6 blocks of suspicious sand? Well, in the end, we only mined one of them, but it seems like a couple of them broke as they fell. They're still affected by gravity like regular sand is, but it seems like they lose whatever block is in there, whatever loot is in there, gets lost when you drop them. So it seems like, yeah, we potentially lost out on a couple of those inside the desert temple itself. And while I'm looking, part of me wonders if suspicious sand blocks could generate around ruined nether portals in deserts as well. Naturally, that brings up the issue of whether or not the game knows where it's putting the ruined nether portals as opposed to just plonking them down in whichever biome, because they are pretty much biome agnostic. They appear more or less everywhere in the world, including in the oceans. So if you want to keep suspicious sand exclusive to desert biomes, then maybe that's not really on the cards. But it could be another so-called ancient structure that it would be good to place a few blocks of suspicious sand around. I guess the struggle here is the balance between making the feature immediately rewarding to players and encouraging players to go and seek it out elsewhere in order to complete the experience. Like, I've had to go and find another desert well and desert temple, which I didn't know were here, so thankfully they've appeared in this immediate formation. But I've had to go and look for these structures, travel even further, just so that I can complete one of these pots, and I don't even know for certain that I'm going to get enough pottery shards out of this, which at this point has me wondering if the game is really balanced yet, and that's just a brick. Okay, that's not what I was looking for at all. That doesn't seem to be suspicious sand. This one is. All right, that looks like we've got another pottery shard as well. We have 2 arms up pottery shards. Very nice. And once again, the only place it seems we're going to find those is in those 2 blocks of the floor of a desert well and not anywhere around or further down. So this desert temple over here could be our last hope for finding another pottery shard or even a sniffer egg in survival before we resort to just spawning them in creative mode. Once again, I have left my bed somewhere, so I'm going to see if somebody here has one I can use. Hey, this house doesn't even look like it's occupied. The door is blocked in. Or I've just saved the local nitwit. And how appropriate that a nitwit was in this blocked off house. Anyway, let's see what could be inside Desert Temple number 2. First of all, I am going to dig down and check the burial chamber in case we get the armor template. And this time we do. We get the Dune armor trim. We have struck gold and a couple of golden apples besides. There's a saddle in there in case we wanted to do more with horses. Yep, plenty of good stuff to be had. And it looks like this time the right-hand side of the room has the sandy patch where we can assume there is more suspicious sand. So let's trim our armor before we get to that. Let's take out the helmet and the boots. Let's use the Dune armor trim on each of those. And let's go with diamond across the center of that. I like that a lot. It looks a little different to how it looks in the picture there, but that's totally fine. I think that's kind of cool having a diamond mohawk on here. And since we've done all of the others, I'm going to put redstone on the boots. The Dune armor trim in redstone material. Let's see what that looks like. I gotta say, honestly, in the light of day, that makes for a pretty cool gradient. We've got the light blue on the top, the blue in the middle, the copper color, and then redstone at the bottom. That looks pretty sophisticated. I like that a lot. And remember, there are so many different combinations of these. They can even be applied to leather armor, which has all the different color combinations, making the combinations of armor trims and armor virtually infinite. And if you ask me, anything in Minecraft being virtually infinite is a good thing for Minecraft. But let's take a quick look around here, see if any of these blocks are actually suspicious sand. It doesn't look like they are. We can brush each of them in turn just to make sure, but I think the texture would give it away otherwise. But before, when I was digging this out, yeah, there was a block here, so you do have to be a little bit careful not to drop that from above, and we get rewarded with yet another diamond popping through. We've got another piece of suspicious sand here, and it looks like that's going to be the final shard of our pot. Let's see what this creation is. 2 arms up and 2 prize pottery shards. So I wonder if I have to combine these in a crafting table or if I can make them in my 2x2. I guess not. In the next layer down, we have 1 piece of suspicious sand, which is yielding yet another pot shard. There's 1 in the wall right here, which... what is that coming out? Oh, it's an emerald. Okay. There are 2 right here in the corner. This one's giving me a block of TNT. It's a little bit ominous coming out of the sand. And this looks like another pot shard as well. That one's a little different, though. It's got a zombie head on, or maybe a wither head. It's kind of difficult to say. A skull, at least, yeah. And it looks like that is it for this little 5x5 chamber off to the side. And once again, yeah, we find pretty quickly that there is nothing underneath that. That's just going to be stone generation moving on down. Well, the Snapshot article says you can craft together 4 of these pottery shards into a decorated pot. But the question remains... how? Is it like this? Oh, it is. Okay, right. So that's not especially easy to understand, not too intuitive. Like, it doesn't appear in the recipe book at all. If I type in pot here or decorated pot, it's only going to come up with a flower pot as an example. If I put decorate, it just doesn't come up with anything. So this crafting recipe is a little bit obscure to me. I kind of wonder if it just needs to be a shapeless crafting recipe, but then again, how would you determine the order in which they appear on those 4 sides? Maybe just 1, 2, 3, and 4, as in like north, south, east, and west, or however it would happen. But yeah, if we put it like this, then we get a decorated pot, which we can now place, and it will have the designs on the sides in an order. I'm not certain if that's the order I placed them in or not, but I guess it is. And if we break it with a fist, we can pick it up again. I believe if you break it with a tool, it smashes, and then you can design it differently when you go to your crafting table next. So let's say we put 2 of the arms up, ones on each side. Let's just make sure that that occurs in the right order. Yep, it seems to have. Yeah, that's actually perfect. I kind of like that. And that's just me celebrating how many diamonds I got in the duration of this playthrough, I suppose. So I guess that's part of the appeal of these, right? Like, by the time you have found one, by the time you've got enough shards to put one together, then it feels like it's telling the story, at least, of you finding it. But naturally, this is meant to be a kind of ancient artifact, I suppose, something that evokes a previous time period. Unlike what they initially showed at Minecraft Live when archaeology was first mentioned, they don't have any kind of clay version that you then apply the designs to the side. It's much more just reassembling it from shards that you find through digging. And I think as a simplified mechanic and as simplified designs, it's pretty polished at this point. I like it. I think it's simple enough for people to get the hang of. The crafting recipe is maybe not the most intuitive thing in the world, but you get there eventually. And if I put this in the world with one of the regular flower pots on top of it, it almost acts like a stopper, you know? It kind of looks like the pot has been closed up like that. It does a bit of Z bashing for now, but I can imagine people wanting to use them that way. You can add a flower into the top of that, so you could have a flower popping out of this pot. You could even then put another block on top of that, as people tend to do with like interior houseplant style things, and have a plant growing out of a pot. Like, that's a very simple way of using them, but it could work pretty well. If you cover the top of them like this, the top part is purely aesthetic. Like, it's just a part that sticks over into the next block, but it doesn't seem to have any kind of hitbox attached to it. So you could hide these in walls and use them as decorative blocks without it being obvious that they are jars at all. Imagine putting one of these diamond things at the end of a maze, and that's kind of a sign that you're about to receive some treasure if you check the chest next to it. I would love to be able to dye these pots different colors, like if you could apply a dye to the individual sides or maybe to the entire pot itself. I don't think that's something you can do yet, but would love that to be a feature of the finished product. Like, if you could craft the decorated pot together with blue dye and it'd come out as a blue design, I think that'd be really nice. But these are still brand new features, so they may still have something in mind for them. I'm looking forward to it. For now, though, I think we're done here. I think we'll probably head back over to that Cherry Grove biome so that we can take a look at the Sniffer. A shame we haven't been able to find one in survival, but let's check them out in creative. So here's something odd. I've spawned in a bunch of suspicious sand, and it's not actually giving me anything back. So it seems like when the game chooses locations for suspicious sand to spawn, it has very specific parameters applied to it. Like, it kind of seeds it with loot, maybe based on the world seed even, instead of suspicious sand natively having a loot table right now. And it may be that this becomes data-driven later on, but for the minute at least, it really doesn't seem like we can do a whole lot with suspicious sand ourselves. For example, I can't prime the suspicious sand with any specific type of loot. Like, if I were to put a diamond in this, for example, it's not going to let me do that. It's not like as a player we can set up what the loot is after the fact, which, you know, is kind of a shame. I would like to be able to craft a block of sand together with a diamond or something and get some suspicious sand that other players could dig up. Having it be a block that players interact with on more than just a world gen level seems like a good move to me. But right now, if I look at the changelog for Snapshot 23W07A, it just says the Sniffer has been added. It doesn't say where it's been added, so as far as I can tell, the only way to get hold of the Sniffer right now is to spawn it in using the spawn egg in creative mode. And They are big lads. They are super cute though. I just love the look of them and their behavior, their animations, everything is kind of top notch. And to be honest, I agree with a lot of the people who are saying that other Minecraft mobs now look kind of basic by comparison. Like, you put one of these next to a sheep, and the difference in animation and detail and everything is fairly plain. It has these head movements that are more diagonal and articulated. Right now, it looks like it's sniffing out the stuff that I threw on the floor. But he's sniffing around, whether he's sniffing the local plants, whether he loves all of this cherry blossom, or whether he's just gonna sploot down somewhere and dig for some seeds, remains to be seen. But right now, this spawn egg is the only item related to the sniffer in the whole creative inventory. That also includes commands. If I type give Pixlriffs and then type sniffer, it automatically comes up with the sniffer spawn egg, but no other item. So the way of discovering sniffers seems like it hasn't been fully implemented in the game quite yet. Baby sniffers are very much a thing though. If you right click on a adult-sized sniffer with the spawn egg, you end up producing a baby sniffer, and it's slightly easier to get a look at those from ground level because they're a little shorter than these absolute monster trucks. But these things are my new favorite mob. They're adorable, I love them, the pixel art is absolutely sublime, they are just full of character, and I love the big sniffy, flexible nose that they have. They're just like big lumbering doggos, and I love them so much. I do wonder how long it's going to take them to sniff out those seeds for you though, because right now they aren't really doing that, and it may be that there are just too many flowers around here, so they don't feel like doing it. Maybe we should go over to a flat world or a plains biome where there isn't so much foliage. Oh, no, one of them is digging. One of them is digging right as I gave myself these items. So what it digs up is torchflower seeds, which are a new, unique kind of seed. They're also, I believe, the breeding item for sniffers, although they can't be tempted by them. They won't follow you around if you are holding torchflower seeds. They'll just kind of casually wander around doing their own thing. Yep. Oh, he's done it again. Look at that. He's digging up another set. Fantastic, and we can grab those. Now, it doesn't seem like you can plant them on the ground quite yet or on grass. It seems like maybe we need to till the soil here for that to happen. So let me quickly cheat myself in a hoe. Yep, they're planted just like crops on farmland, which presumably means that hydrated farmland is going to help, and bone meal will accelerate the process of their growth. Then in survival mode, you can harvest them by left-clicking to break them. You can plant those basically anywhere else, and they don't deal damage to you or anything despite the name. They are not actually made of fire. They are very beautiful decorative plants though. They look much the same in flower pots, but they have a whole different range of colors to them, and I believe they can be crafted into orange dye. Not the first flower that you can do this with. Orange tulips exist, and obviously poppies and dandelions are fairly common if you want to combine them, but kind of neat that it has a dye use. It's not just a decorative plant, despite the fact that decoration is its primary use. Now, I do wonder if the sniffer's going to end up finding other decorative plants. They did say plants plural, so maybe the torch flowers aren't the only ones and they're just the first implementation of this mechanic, but I am curious to see how that develops in future, and in future updates, the sniffer might even be able to find us other types of plants that are more useful to the player. Some ancient grains, maybe. But for now, I think we've just about covered it. This has probably been a long one, but I hope you folks have enjoyed my first look at a lot of these features. It may not be yours, but frankly, I have been keeping track of the news and desperate to play with all of these features whilst I've been away on holiday. So folks, thank you so much for watching this exploration of the latest Minecraft snapshots for Minecraft 1.20. Still looking forward to seeing what it's called, but in the meantime, my name has been Pixlriffs. Don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you folks soon. Take care, bye for now.